Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a bit of a different video, similar to the one I did for Risk of Rain 2, where I rank every single map, but this time it's for Phantom Forces, a map, or a game rather, that I have a lot more experience in than I do with Risk of Rain 2, so I'll be actually knowing what I'm talking about here. And it won't just be off of, like, visuals, it will actually be how well the map plays. And we're just gonna get right into it. Number 1, from worst to best, by the way. Number 1, the worst map, I think, is Mirage Revamp. It's just bad, and I think a lot of people can agree with me on that one. It might not be everyone's least favorite, but it's definitely no one's favorite, I think, unless you're a die-hard sniper main. I mean, let's get into its problems. It's too big and too vertical. There's way too much going on. Crossing the map takes way too long. Vertically climbing the, certain buildings is decently easy, but, like, getting to the stairs is a problem in the first place, and finding the stairs is often difficult if you're a new player. And it's just chaotic. There is too much going on this map, especially on the center building, so there's way too many corners to hide. There's way too many areas where you're just gonna get shot from because there's a random sniper hiding in, like, a pipe somewhere, and there's just nothing you can do about it, and it doesn't feel good to die on this map. And then lastly, obviously, it's sniper heavy. None of your deaths really feel like you were outplayed. It just sort of feels... it doesn't really feel like you were, outplayed. It just sort of feels like you were killed out of your control, and it kind of sucks. There was nothing you could have done to avoid your death. Number 2, we've got Derek. The main problem with this one that I think everyone can agree with is it's way too flat. There is basically no vertical changes throughout this map, which I suppose makes sense, but it's just worse rig, It's very flat. There's way too many dead zones, which dead zones, I'll make a video about this eventually, are a phenomena on a lot of maps where if you're in them, you will probably die soon if you aren't leaving that area immediately. And Derek is covered in them. There's way too many dead zones in that map. The center of the map is very difficult to play in because it's just chaotic, and there's way too many areas around the center that you can carry. You can hold and just absolutely destroy anyone in the middle. And it's also just boring. I mean, look at it. It's an interesting idea, but I mean, rig came first, so, it sort of already did what it was trying to do. It's just all so gray. There's nothing on it that looks really interesting, and I'm sorry, that's just how it is. Number 3, we've got Crane Sight Revamp, which I think many people agree with me that it is way, way, way too big. Oh my god, this map is so huge, and if you have the unfortunate timing to spawn on the gas station, the normal Crane Sight, the original Crane Sight part of the map, you will just have to spend all of the game running over to the other area unless you spawn on a teammate, because no fights ever happen over there. All of the fights happen on the new building or around it, and sometimes in the parking garage, but rarely do they ever happen on the construction building, and they basically never happen on the, what is it, the office building? I mean, it kinda happens, but rarely. It's just such a mess. Like, Crane Sight was a decent map, and they made it so terrible with this. And the second crane sort of ruins the point of the crane. The whole point of the crane on the first map of Crane Sight is that you have this huge risk and reward power position. You can see anyone, but anyone can see you. The only safe place is on the very back of the crane, where you can maybe hide yourself on those concrete slabs, but on the counterweight. But you're really just gonna get sniped. You're gonna get like 5 kills, yeah, but you're also gonna die very soon once they find out you're there. But with the Crane Sight Revamp, it sort of removes the point of the crane, because now there's 2 cranes. Each side has this power position, and it's just... people get away with, being up there for way too long on both sides, really. More so the red crane than the blue crane, but still. The next map, number 4, is Fortress. Fortress is an interesting map, but it's... one of the faults of PF is that a lot of the maps, I think basically all of them, I don't know if any of these are original creations, but basically all of the maps are just taken from other games, and the problem with Fortress is I think it's taken from CSGO, I don't know if that's for sure, but it's taken from some game where running around chaotically is not something you do, okay? Fortress is an absolute maze, and it's so cramped and just very hard to navigate because there are a lot of places where there should be ladders or stairs or ramps, but there aren't. So there's a lot of like awkward moments where you'll have like 5 people on a high ground area and you can't really do anything about it because you can't get up there unless you go all the way around. So it's just a difficult map. It's just not good. I don't even know how to explain it. I don't know why I don't like it that much, but it really just does not work out for you. Number 5 is Transit. This one is tough. This one's main weakness is that the fighting only really happens in a few places. There's only really 2 areas where you have intense fights, and those are the sort of turnstile areas on both sides of the center part of the map. But other than that, you never really have team fights ever. It's always just like random little 1v1s. And number 2, a huge part of this is that there's a ton of pointless hallways. There's way too many, like, weird winding bits in the middle and on the sides that are just like, where am I? Why am I over here? No one else is ever gonna be over here, and it's just a waste of time. And then lastly, the middle of the map is just way too open. There's very little cover, and the cover that is there really isn't good enough or will really help you, so game modes like King of the Hill and Player Domination, where there's a point there, it's very hard to defend. You basically cap it, and then you have to leave immediately because you're about to be shot. Like, it's just gonna happen. Also, it's just like, this map is very noisy. There's like a lot going on the screen. There's a lot of things to hide behind on the outskirts of this middle, so, it makes pushing through the middle very, difficult, and unnecessarily difficult, really. Number 6, we have Bizar, which is a map that is very, very big, but does it in all the wrong ways, because there are like 2 sniper locations, there are like no power positions. There are a couple, but power positions, by the way, are just basically where you want to be, areas where you can hold that you can do very well on. Examples are like the highest ground on Maul, that one like half destroyed building on Desert Storm where you can like set up a sniper nest. Like those are power positions. The problem with Bizar is there basically aren't any. There's a couple here and there. Every map has power positions, but like some of their power positions are just like not worth trying to, take or contest, because like there's no use. There's not really going to be anyone up there, and you can't really see very much from those positions. So it's meh. There's also way too many flank routes on this map, so basically, wherever you are, you can always get behind the enemy, and that might sound like a good thing, but it also means the enemy can always get behind you, so you're basically fighting enemies from all directions instead of there being any, source of, like, direction. There is a little bit of direction on some of the sides, but usually it just doesn't go as well. And then, going back to my first point, the map is very big, but does it in all the wrong ways, because it really doesn't have that many open areas. So it's a close-range map that is big, so when you run into people, it's rarer because the map is so big, but also you're forced into these CQC engagements that you can't really get the reward or value out of your long-range weapons that you otherwise would have. Number 7 is Height, and Height is a very interesting idea for a map, but I don't think it's done very well. It's sort of like a tower versus tower map, where the sides are very clearly defined. It's literally like color-coded red versus blue. However, because of this, it's practically impossible to flank on. You can flank through the middle bridge, but the 2 side bridges are probably the most dead zones of any map. It's very rarely contested that there are, any worse place to be other than those 2 side bridges. Like, you can quickly run through them maybe if no one's looking, but you can't stand in them, you can't snipe in them, you will die. So the fact that there's only really one safe way to cross the map is not good. It's just not good, and it isn't well. Also, this map is very, very noisy. There is way too much going on. There is entirely too much going on. There's a lot of props everywhere. There's like just randomly assorted concrete barriers and low barriers and walls and vents and pipes, and it's just too much, and it causes very chaotic teamfights in a bad way. Sometimes chaotic teamfights can be good, but usually this just makes it difficult to maneuver, and I'll often find myself vaulting over things that I didn't click on or didn't mean to vault on just because there's too much going on, so it's just not a good map. I don't like height whenever I get it. Number 8, we've got Maul. Maul has been a nostalgia factor for me, and it does have a little bit of love in my heart for that, but it very much struggles in the fact that both of the red and the green floors, I believe they're technically the second and third, because the basement isn't really a basement, it's the first floor. Both the red, the green floors, and the basement are all completely pointless, and they are very visually boring. And also, the basement is a complete maze. There is no indicator of where you're going, and it's just too long, there's too many hallways, and it's just a waste of time. And then the red and green floors, nothing ever happens on either of them. You never really get into fights on them unless you're playing on Flare Domination, and even then, usually you just capture the point and then go back to the roof, where all of the fights happen basically on the roof. Like, 80% of the fights happen on the roof, and the other 20% happen outside on the, by the crane, base of the crane. So, it's interesting. Also, speaking of the crane, it's a little bit disappointing how weak the crane is. Going up on the crane is almost pointless for this map, because everyone will see you, and you're too close to really justify using the long range, so nah. And lastly, it's hard to navigate between the floors of the Maul. The stairs are way too far apart, and the ladders are way too exposed for you to reasonably climb up and down on. Number 9 is Blacksight, and I don't really have a lot to say about Blacksight. It's one of the most middle-of-the-road maps in the game. I never really enjoy playing on Blacksight, but I don't hate it either. Some of the problems with Blacksight is, one, it's too easy to flank on. The outdoor area is criminally underused for being such a cool part of the map. It looks very cool, and is a good idea for a map being, a prison, but it's so maze-like and so chaotic on the inside that it ends up just being chaos. However, I should say that being in these, chaotic fights can be fun sometimes, because you get a lot of these situations where you're double jumping onto walls, getting on top of, boxes, and, getting these cool flank angles. And then the last problem I wanted to talk about with Blacksight is there are some very oppressive choke points in Blacksight. So sometimes you'll turn a corner and there will be 10 enemies, and I'm not even exaggerating, just because that's where they have to go to get towards the middle. So it's just difficult. And yeah, that's all I have to say about Blacksight, though. It's really not that bad. It's just meh all over. Number 10, we have Maul Revamp, which is one of the revamped maps that actually changes the map to make it look significantly different. It doesn't just use, the old map and then, slightly change it. It's actually, a whole different map. There's only 3 floors, and they are used pretty often, except that the outer edges of both floors are rarely used because they're sort of cut off using the walls of the map, and basically 80% of the fighting either happens on the roof, same with the old mall, or at the escalators area, where there's those 4 converging escalators that all meet on that one area. A lot happens there. I do have to compliment this map, though, because it's very visually well made. It's very well done. It looks very pretty, and as far as Roblox maps go, it's pretty, it's cool to explore. Dust Bowl is number 11, and it can be summarized into whoever is on the roof wins the game, because there are just a bunch of roofs in that map, and if you are not on the roof, you are probably going to die. Basically anywhere on the ground is just danger zone. You don't want to be there at all. And this causes there to be multiple power positions that are very hard to contest, such as the oil what is it called? The refinery, I don't know what that thing's called. The thing in the corner that you can hide behind and get basically visuals on the whole map. Some of the roofs are like very protected, and there's one roof, I think it's a gas station on the back of the map, that you can get visuals on basically the entire middle of the map and just shoot for free. It is a fun map though. It can be pretty fun, and I don't hate it at all. It's just, I often find myself dying to things without really being able to do anything about it just because I spawned in the worst spot, you know? It's tough. In our 12th spot, we have Elevation. This map is another problem. I believe this is a CSGO map, by the way. It suffers from the problem of just not being made for the Battlefield style of Phantom Forces. So a lot of the sides, especially that weird, like, very large window on the middle of the point, where you can double jump to get up to it, but it's just high enough that it's not consistent to make that jump, so it's very hard to, like, contest that area. And there's just, because of it being a CSGO map, there's way too many flank routes. You can do whatever the hell you want, you can go anywhere you want, and you will probably find a fight there, just because nobody knows where they're going and it's a complete maze sometimes. So, you know, it's whatever. And another thing I wanted to bring up is the area where the helicopter is completely underused. Nobody ever goes there, and I really wish there would be, because fighting on top of a helicopter sounds cool as hell. Industry is a weird map. It's hard to rank Industry along with every single other one, so I put it around the middle with 13, because it's just weird compared to every other map. It's usually pretty chaotic, but the indoor parts of this map is very cramped. They're very cramped, and there's way too much cover everywhere to hide, but none of the cover is good, if that makes sense. Like, there's a lot of things, like there's a lot of window frames, there's a lot of desks, there's a lot of cars, there's a lot of construction stuff, and signs and everything like that, but none of them really protect you. They're just sort of in your way visually, so it doesn't really help. But I do have to bring up that certain game modes like Capture the Flag and King of the Hill are pretty fun on this map, just because they get very chaotic, and I think it's in a good way. I think it's very good way. Also, I should bring up, there are basically no power positions on this map. This map is free-for-all for everyone. The only power position I can think of is that one, the construction building on one of the sides of the map is pretty good, and you can also hide next to the hill and get some good kills that way, but otherwise, it's just, it's too much. There's too much going on. There's too much going on with that map. But hey, because there's so much going on, you can be rewarded for how good you are at the movement in the game. For number 14, we have Desert Storm. Look, I know this one's a fan favorite. I know a lot of people choose Desert Storm. I don't know why. Look, it's sniper heaven. It's just sniper heaven. No matter where you are on the map, you're basically susceptible to being shot at any point. There are a couple power positions that are very strong. Like I said earlier, the broken building towards the middle of one side, the oil rig things are very strong, and it's just like there's way too many places where you can snipe and see the whole map from that spot. So it's kind of disappointing. And also, the fights, the close range fights at least, only really ever happen in those two spots. The one is over by the tank, or the two tanks, the ATV, whatever that one's called, and then the tank, those fights happen over there, and then the other ones happen behind, on the higher end of the hill. It's not interesting. I don't like it. The entire middle of the map is a dead zone. The ditch is interesting, or like, I guess it's like, I don't know what to call it, the river that's empty. I don't know how to describe it. In the middle, it's interesting, it's fun to play around, but ultimately, if you're in it or around it, you're probably dead. So, or you better be running, because you will be soon. I just don't like this map, man. I just don't like. Also, I should say flank routes on this map take way too long. You will be running for like 10 minutes just to get behind people before you're seen, so It's tough. It just doesn't work that well. Number 15 is Second Storm. This is the same map as Desert Storm, and you can't convince me otherwise. There are a couple things that have been changed about this map, but they all come in the form of simple cosmetic changes, such as the lighting is slightly different and there's like a dusty effect everywhere, which kind of is annoying, but whatever. And there's like this added underground bit that nobody goes to anyways, because it's pointless. It is nice as an escape tool sometimes, but you rarely ever go down there because nobody else does. So it's just a mess. It's just the same map, but with like slightly more detail put into it, and I don't like it. In number 16, we have Metro, which is one of the maps that I think I've been almost just manipulated into being forced to enjoy. I think whenever I roll Metro, I physically feel the emotion of like, oh, god damn it, I have to do this again. But it's not like bad in action. When I start actually playing the map, it doesn't get that bad, and I can, you know, reasonably have fun. The problems with it are numerous, though. One obvious one that everyone has experienced at one time or another on this map is the spawn killing. Oh my god, the spawn killing on this map are just... oh man, it's just so bad. You can just hold at the top of the escalators in the back of either side of the map and just peek down every now and then, and you'll find one somewhere, and you'll just get the free kill because you have the advantage, so it's just awful. I also have to bring up, this map is symmetrical, so it's kind of boring, and there's not really, it's not fully symmetrical. I am aware that they are different on both sides. One side is longer than the other, but it is like basically symmetrical and is incredibly similar. And also, because it's so flat on both floors, there's very little creativity in the movement you can do, though it is fun to jump on top of the trains and play off of those. Number 17 is Metro Revamp. This is the same map, again. However, I do want to bring up that it's not really the same map, because there is one glaring difference in the hallway that is added on the quadruple escalator area. There's a hallway on that side behind the one power position of that box that is very helpful for flanking, and if you're on that side of the map where the that hallway is, you can actually use it consistently, and it's very nice to be able to use it to get out. That hallway is not on Metro, the base Metro map, so it's nice. It's nice to go there. So that's why it's above Metro, the bank Metro. In number 18, we have Ravad 911 Revamp. This map is just Ravid 2016, except it has a third building, and the third building is pointless. The third building is nice, it's interesting. It makes that side of the map a little bit harder to push and a little bit more interesting. However, it also is barely ever used. I almost never see anyone over there, and it's completely, just void of attention. The most you'll ever see is like a sniper or two sitting on the roof, but rarely will you ever find them because I don't think there's any spawns over there, so you have to like go out of your way to be over there. The rest of the map is just Ravid 2016, so it's whatever. However, I do want to praise this map for something, because the Koth on this map, King of the Hill, is that little underground part which has the obvious hole on the top of it. It's really fun. It's really hard to push for both teams, no matter what side you are, and it's really exciting when you're actually able to pull off a capture for that map, but I'm not really going to be basing the maps on how high they're rated, because, based off of how, well one game mode is, because, it's not very nice. Number 19, we have Dunes. This map is kind of a sniper in DMR heaven, but it's not necessary. You can do well without a sniper or a DMR. It's pretty decently easy to pop off on and flank on, except, you can really only do that within the center area of buildings. You can't really cross to each side's, further spawns with either the trailer park side or the gas station side. You can't really get to those parts because there's too much dead zone in between, and you can't really get to them. So it's problematic. And because of that, the power positions are just way too strong. That one water tower on the trailer park side is way too easy to hold and get a bunch of kills on. The really big sand dune on the opposite side of the water tower is very strong. The fallen really big water tank is very, very strong, and it's just way too strong to hold up there, though it is easy to flank that part. And then there's a very huge sand dune in the back corner by the gas station side that is just ridiculously overpowered, though granted it is very hard to get to because there is no cover, literally zero, on the way to running to it, so you know, it's a very big risk and reward. Number 20, we have Rig. This map is one of the only maps that I used to hate. I used to hate Rig so much, and I don't know why. Nowadays when I play Rig, all I see is high kill counts, decent flanking, you know, ability, and interesting fights. The only problem with it is some of the like middle thing, the I don't even know what it is, if it's like where the hill is, that area is really distracting, and it causes some of the high ground fights to get blocked and get really awkward, so I don't love it. And some of the you know, parts of the map go very criminally underused, especially the basement, which is just never used. Nobody ever goes down there except on Flare Domination, where there is a point there, but still nobody goes there. You know, it's like completely pointless. Number 21 is Ravid 2016. This is the only map that I didn't put right next to its revamped version, but I like this one mainly off of nostalgia. I remember playing this one when I was like 14 and having a lot of fun on it, so I did give it a little extra bonus points because of that. However, the power positions of the tops of the two buildings are way too strong. If you are not on top of the two buildings or on that little hill that's in the corner, you really aren't in a good position and you will probably die soon. One of the good parts of this map, though, is that there is a huge variety in the areas between each, you know, in the areas. There's the indoor parts, there's the outdoor parts, there's the roofs, and then there's like the tank area, and it's all super fun. The only problem with that, though, is that some of them go underused. You really have fights that are inside some of the buildings, or especially one of them, the longer building, you don't really get into fights there, but still, I think it's the most meh map, honestly. Like, it's the most middle-of-the-road map. I don't feel, you know, against it or really into it whenever I'm playing, so it's cool. It's just cool. Number 22 is Ruins, which is another map where I used to really not like it, but now I don't know, I really like it now. It's pretty fun, and I can drop really high kill counts on this map. Also, I think the thing that's going for this map the most is that it's very pretty. This is the most well-done map and most detailed map in the game, and there's details where there doesn't even need to be. Like, if you look up in the middle of the areas, there's like a bunch of details on the ceiling of the cathedral, and it's really, really cool. Flanking and spawn camping, though, is the problem of this map, where you can flank far too easily, and you can spawn camp very, very easily as well. However, it is punishable because the two spawn sides are very, you know, open. They're very open and unsafe, and there isn't a lot of cover. The graves don't work as cover. I think they were intended to, the gravestones, but they don't end up working as cover, unfortunately. So sort of running from those spawn sides to the middle is very difficult, so I don't know, it can be fun. And then the last problem I have with this is just the tunnel system below. Nobody goes down there, and if you're going down there, what are you doing? There's like 3 exits. It's huge. So much of it is pointless. It is nice in Capture the Flag, and that's it. That is it. There is no point to go down there because the waste of time going down there and running across the whole map without getting to any fights on the way because nobody goes down there is not worth it, because where you come out on each side is just like in the middle of a dead zone and just not safe. It can yield you some kills like every flag can, but it's just so useless. It's comically useless how bad the tunnels are on that map. Number 23, we have Suburbia. This map is interesting, because sometimes I find myself hating this map when I'm playing on it. There's too much going on, and I die too much to the snipers who are on the roofs, which is one of my problems with this map. The 2 roofs on each corner that you can climb onto via the ladders and the ropes are way too strong of a power position, and you can just see the entire map from them, so you kind of have to contest those if you want control of the, game. But what this does result in is some pretty interesting team fights. Since the map is basically symmetrical, it's almost symmetrical, it's close enough. It's pretty fun. It's like surprisingly fun to, have those weird diagonal fights that'll happen across, like from the pool side to the trampoline side, those areas. You'll have those cool like 1v1 fights from across there, and it's really cool. And sniping is very good on this map, but it's not OP, which I really like. Like, if you're sniping on this map, you might get away with a lot, but you're gonna be contested, okay? It's not like Mirage, where if you're sniping, you're the only people who can contest you as other snipers. On Suburbia, you have to be aware of the people who might flank you at any moment with a shotgun, so it's exciting. Number 24 is Warehouse. Warehouse is very interesting, and I think this one is probably my most contentious pick, being so high. But I actually really like that basically every wall is penetratable. It's very, very fun to just get random wall bangs sometimes, and it's fun to like abuse like the LMGs and just get away with the most random kills sometimes. Also, this map allows for some very interesting movement capabilities, because basically all of the like the 1-story high buildings you can double jump onto the walls, and you can easily drop off of them at any time, so it's really fun to, sort of abuse that and get away with a lot of things. And there aren't, like, a ton of power positions on this map, so it's, it's not too overpowered. There's no place where you can hold and stay holding for, like, a really long time like you can on some other maps. But I do want to bring up that King of the Hill is practically impossible to play on this map. It's basically just whoever controls it first wins the game, because you can't contest it after the game has started. You can't, just because nobody can get to it. It's way too open. The dead zone there is awful, and there's no cover on point, or even near point, so it's just awful. It's just awful. But hey, it's still fun. Number 25, we have Castle Keep. This map is a surprisingly high one for me, because I used to not like it very much. Mainly just because there are a lot of useless zones, areas of the map where nobody goes, especially the hay bale area where just nobody ends up going to. However, there aren't really any OP power positions on this map, which makes it very fun, because every fight feels fair on this map. That was a a fun alliteration there. That was fun. But still, it's it's a good map. Like, this is probably, I think I've never had not had fun on Castle Keep. There, you can use any weapon basically. You can get away with anything, and the flanking is really rewarding on this map too. So, it's nice. Number 26 is Highway Lot. I like this map a lot, pun intended, but not even because of nostalgia like some of the other nostalgic maps. I just like this map because I never feel like the fights are one-sided. There is an unfortunate, a bit of one-sidedness. If you spawn on the side with the garage, you're a little bit stronger than the office side of the map, just because you have the, ability to really get control of that side of the map a lot easier than they can get control of their own side of the map. But it's not that bad. Flanking is very rewarding on this map, especially because you can flank upwards through the buildings rather than just around, but it's not overpowered. It's not overpowered to flank because it's very punishable. There is no OP power positions. There are a couple strong power positions, like anywhere on the bridge or on top of some of the buildings, but even then, there's nowhere where you are invincible, And then on this map, you will have some of the most intense King of the Hill games you will ever see. Holy shit. It's insane. Some of the fights that will happen here are just ridiculous. It's just insane. It's just insane to have, insane shotgun fights and LMG fights below by the King of the Hill. And you'll have some of the... I've never seen a hill like control over the King of the Hill swaps as many times as it does on Highway Lot. It's so much fun. Number 27, we have Penthouse. I really like Penthouse. It's just, I think it might be my favorite map if I want to grind out kills on something, because you can use basically any weapon. You can't really use snipers too well, but you can still, I don't know, you can still get some value out of them. But if you want to use any closer range weapon or medium range weapon, you're gonna do well with it, period. Like, you're gonna get high kill games no matter what. It's insane. The only problems I have with this map is there are a few parts that are like unused and it's kind of disappointing. Like the pool area in the back is just pointless and, you know, it just goes underused. But other than that, I don't know, I really like this map. It does reward spawn camping a little bit too much here, though. This map, you are sort of forced to spawn kill if you want these high kill counts. Jesus, I have hiccups, and they're making recording very hard. Our penultimate, as you saw in the thumbnail, map to my second favorite map is Containers. I mean, it's hard to not have fun on Containers just because it is complete and utter chaos all the time, no matter what. It is, I think it's the smallest map in the game, and you can tell because it's just, you are just constantly in a fight. You'll spawn in the enemy spawn, who cares? There are basically no power positions because you have to keep moving to stay alive, and there's only like a couple problems I have with this map is that it's like a little bit too complex in one of the corners, like there's a bit too much going on, and some of the you know, straight lines that are caused by the rectangles that are the containers are a little bit unfortunate because you do get shot from places that you really honestly shouldn't have been seen from otherwise, but still, there are no power positions on this map. Even that high ground spot that I'm sure a lot of you are thinking of really isn't that strong because you can flank it from both sides and straight on because you can just climb up there. So it's honestly just so much fun. I've dropped 90 kills, 100 kills on this map with shotguns before. It's just ridiculous. But it's nice. I think I would like Containers less if I got it every game, you know? I love it, but I think if I got it all the time, I'd be stressed out too much and it would get chaotic. But getting Containers is like getting like an arcade game. It's like if you were playing Overwatch comp and like every 6th game you had to play Mystery Heroes. That's basically what it is. Or Total Mayhem. Like, one of those, I think it would just be so much fun. And that's why Containers is fun, is because it's spaced out and it's always like, I'll have a really intense map on like Rig or something, and then I'll have Containers next, and it's a complete relaxant, even though it, you know, it energizes me for the next fight, so it's fun. And then our final map, my favorite one, number 29, is Crane Sight. I love this map. I'm sorry, you can sue me. I know a lot of people don't like this map at all, but I think this map is one of the most, if not the most, balanced maps in the game. There are no places where you are overpowered in positioning. The only place I think that is very strong is the top of the construction building, but it's still not that good. The crane has the perfect amount of risk and reward. It's super, super fun. The only problem I have with this map is that the gas station area is very dangerous to be in. If you're in it, you're probably going to be shot at in the next 14 seconds. Like, it's gonna happen. You're gonna die. But everywhere else, it's chaos and flanking. If you're having a problem with like the people kind of spawn camping you, you can always flank. You can always get away with flanks. So I don't know, it's very fun. And you'll also get super high kill counts, but you won't get them because the map is bad, if that makes sense. That's kind of why you get high kill counts on Containers, is because the map is so cramped and you're forced into fights, but if you get a high kill count on Crane, it's because you utilized the world to your advantage better than they could, so I really like it. And then obviously I put this one up here just because nostalgia. This was, I believe, the first map ever made for Phantom Forces, and using it back in 2016 was just so much fun because it was just the classic map, so whatever. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please put a like and subscribe down below. I really appreciate you for sticking through it all the way. Be sure to tell me your thoughts. Maybe give me your full rankings if you're willing. Don't actually, that would be a full... that would be a lot of work on your end, but maybe, you know, put your opinions about my rankings here. What would have you You know, where would you put crane sight or containers? Where would you put those things? But you know, let me know down below. What's your favorite? What's your least favorite map? Tell me. Other than that, though, thank you to our members, the _Radiance, Lucas Houston, Soap, Shadow Cheese, Supreme Firo, A Brief Gamer, and Natalie Cameron for supporting the channel like that. If you'd like to support the channel like they did, you absolutely can, but if you don't want to spend any money on me, that's absolutely fine. You can always just like and subscribe or join the Discord. Anyways, I will see you later. Bye-bye.